O God, come to my assistance. O Lord, make haste to help me. This is the beginning of Psalm 70, which is prayed and often sung at all the liturgies of the hours in monasteries and convents. It is the simplest and shortest of all prayers, namely, help. There are two types of prayers described in the Greek: apophatic, meaning wordless, and cataphatic, meaning discursive. The latter can be adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, or supplication, summarized by the acronym ACTS, A-C-T-S. And by far the most common is supplication, that is, help. We often turn to God only when all else fails, and simply and sometimes desperately ask for help. In today's Gospel, Jesus' first miracle starts with a request for help from Mary, his mother. He initially tells his mother, "My hour has not yet come." But yet he performs the miracle anyway in response to her prayer request. Though it is Jesus' divine power that performs the miracle of changing water into wine, it is in response to a prayer request. And each time thereafter, when Jesus performs a miracle, the faith and prayers of a human being will always first request the power of God to intervene. But why is God so influenced by prayer when he is seemingly not ready? When he is God and knows our needs before we speak them? When he knows us better than we know ourselves? The answer is simply love. God is love, and there is no other explanation. It is because he is love that we can influence him. And the basis of Mary's request was selfless love for others. We note that she did not tell Jesus what to do or how to do it. She knew that he didn't need her help with the details, only with the request motivated out of love. Ideally, we should take our lead from Mary and pray without giving God advice on the details, because we have faith in him. Love is the guiding principle. Often our society, sometimes even our government, says that if someone is offended by Christmas or the crucifix, then Christians should change because we need to be sensitive to others' feelings. That is, we need to be tolerant. Our secular culture is enforcing intolerance under the guise of tolerance. And it makes us accomplices to intolerance. Our Christian American founding fathers believed in tolerance, which means allowing for Christians for Christmas, Hanukkah, and Eid. Tolerance means we are not offended by others' beliefs, but tolerant of them and loving of the humans who believe in them. Just as a mother loves her child, as Mary loved Jesus. But why is intolerance becoming the norm, even taught by some religions? Research has shown that religion can be healing or hurtful depending on its image of God. Based on statistical surveys, people's images of God are distant, 24%, authoritarian, 31%, critical, 16%, atheistic, 5%, and benevolent, 23%. That is a staggering imbalance of negative 77% to positive 23%. Jesus came to change our image of God from the Old Testament ogre to the New Testament lover. Somehow we still haven't gotten the message. Spiritual writers throughout the centuries have repeatedly said we must constantly challenge and change our image of God. If we don't, we run the risk of creating God in our image rather than allowing ourselves to be created in his or her image? Do we feel uncomfortable with that thought? If we think we have found the correct image, then we can be assured we most certainly have not. Jesus was the first women's liberator. He would constantly chastise the men, particularly the Sadducees and the Pharisees, the clergy of his time. Women were the ones he often put in places of honor. The first person to be born without original sin, a woman, Mary. The first person to be told Jesus was coming, a woman, Mary, the new Ark of the Covenant. The first person to be told of the resurrection of Christ, a woman, Magdalene. One of the first deacons, a woman, Phoebe. The first church referred to as a woman, Mother Church. In today's gospel, Mary teaches that God is a lover. So inspired by Mary, our mother, God's love can be likened to the all-embracing security of a mother's love for her child in the womb. Our God can have the image of a mother. She envelops us in her womb with the warmth and heartbeat of her love. We are secure from the threats of the world when we turn our fate over to her. Mary holds a privileged place, one that is unique in the history of salvation. Mary is the first model of the church. The church is the mystical body of Christ, and Mary, as the church, is the one to whom Jesus refers to as woman rather than mother. It is truly in this way that Jesus intends to perform his first miracle, with Mary, his mother, and not without her. It is for this reason that Mary needs our aid. Thus she says to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." And the servants are obedient to her commands, just as we must be obedient to God's commands. Thus miracles flow from obedience. Turning water into wine was Jesus' first miracle. Virtually all Christian denominations believe in that miracle. Yet we Catholics, the largest Christian denomination, are almost alone in believing that Jesus changed wine into his blood at the Last Supper and continues to do so today at Mass. Yet we remain obedient to do what he has told us to do at the Last Supper. That is, do whatever he tells you. In the Old Testament book of Proverbs, it is written, "Wisdom has mixed her wine," she says, "Come, drink of the wine I have mixed." Wisdom with a capital W is another name for God. And in Matthew's Gospel, Jesus says, "Drink of it, all of you, for this is my blood." The miracle of Cana was the prophecy of the miracle at the Last Supper and the miracle at today's Mass. Jesus has saved for last the best wine of all, his own blood. Let us be inspired by Mary to let go of the details of our help prayer through the advice of another Blessed Mother, Teresa of Calcutta, who said, "In the silence of the heart, God speaks. If you face God in prayer and silence, God will speak to you. Then you will know that you are nothing. It is only when you realize your nothingness, your emptiness, that God can fill you with himself." Souls of prayer are souls of great silence.